Now, do you want to be wealthy and well known?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
at least definitely the wealthy part, right? Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa, entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation. You have just got back from a speakers conference?
Yeah, NSA Thrive.
NSA. Amazing. NSA Thrive Speakers Conference, the Speakers Association. And I'm keen to hear what it is that you learned, experienced, anything that stood out for you. We have spoken on a previous episode about another event of theirs that you went to, and you came back with some real insights from that one. So I have no doubt there'll be one or two from this one as well.
Oh yeah, it was a packed 3-day event. NSA has two major annual conferences. One is called Influence, and the other one's called Thrive. Influence is more of a bigger, like, week-long conference where I think there are about 1,200 people, speakers from all over around the world. You have keynotes and breakouts. Thrive, this one was in New Orleans, and there were a few hundred people there, and it's more intimate. So you said that you're assigned to a round table, which serves as your mastermind group for the weekend. And everyone goes in deep about what you speak about, helping you craft your message and getting past any challenges or hurdles that you're dealing with at the moment. So it was very impactful. And there were also some keynotes that were very good as well. So if I share some of my top takeaways, and also want to bounce some stuff off of you and see where you are with this, since you are also a speaker. One of the first things is Rory Vaden of Brand Builders Group, which I'm a member of. He gave a couple of keynotes, and he says if your message is diluted, then your results will be diluted. Now, Rory, just to give some background here, his company and his coaching and guidance has helped multiple big names hit New York Times bestseller list and become these huge accomplished speakers. People like Ed Milet, Lewis Howes, E.T. Eric Thomas. But he's worked with a bunch of big names as this personal brand coach, and he has a whole company built around it called Brand Builders Group. I don't get anything from promoting them. I just give them a free plug, but they have very, very good information and solid foundation, so I feel comfortable referring them. But his main message is that he's seen, the consistent thing he's seen across the board is that most speakers struggle because we talk about too many different things, and I'm definitely guilty of this. So the first thing he does is coach his clients to get narrow focus and define what problem do you solve, and define that problem in one word. And then once you can do that, you craft a brand statement around it.
Now, I'm going to stop you there and ask you a question. When we say we've got to define the problem that we solve in one word, is that specifically for that talk? Or are we speaking about what are you anchoring your personal brand around, the overarching kind of problem that you solve? And then you might have multiple talks that relate to solving that particular problem in various ways.
It's the latter. It's everything you talk about is focused around solving that problem. Your keynotes, your workshops, your books, multiple books, all really focus on that one problem. And I'll give you some examples that kind of make it easier to understand. If you look at someone like Martin Luther King, his focus was solving the problem of inequality. So every speech he wrote, every letter he wrote, every meeting he took, he wanted to solve the problem of inequality. He actually literally died for it. So that's a very extreme example. You know, as most of us public speakers, we aren't trying to become martyrs in any sense. But what is it that you feel that strongly about, that you want to speak about and really make a positive change in the world, a positive impact in people's lives to solve that specific problem? So some other examples are Mother Teresa. Her one-word problem that she went against was poverty. Let's see. Dave Ramsey, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's an American guy in Nashville who talks about financial freedom. He's very anti-debt. So his problem is he doesn't want anyone to have debt. He wants everyone to be debt-free. He himself went bankrupt, came out of it. Now he's a multimillionaire, huge company. So he helps solve the problem of debt with all of his books keynotes, workshops, his radio show. So he gave tons and tons of examples of these well-known figures who focus in on solving one problem. The problem that Rory solves with his brand, Brand Builders Group, is lack of exposure. What does he call it? Obscurity. The problem is obscurity. No one knows about you. So how do we solve that problem? So everything is built around that. You build this personal brand around the problem you solve.
That's powerful. I'm sitting here. I think I probably tuned out and wasn't listening to you because I'm busy trying to figure out what is my one word.
Yeah, because I'm coming. I'm coming to ask you.
I know. Well, let's. I mean, you've been able to give this some thoughts already. You were part of the conference and you were sitting with your groups. What did you come up with? Or maybe give us some insight into. I'm sure there were a few iterations because I'm sure there were some insightful questions or insightful pushback from the table that you were with. So where did you start and where did you end up?
Yeah. And that itself is the insight. There are always going to be iterations. The biggest hurdle that you're going to deal with as a speaker and as putting your personal brand out there into the world is constantly wrestling with these words of how you want to present yourself and what you want to edit away and what you want to focus on. So it's always going to be changing. I had discussions with my mastermind group. I've been having discussions with AI, with Claude about what my problem is that I focus on. Because then once you come up with a word, it's like, that's not quite it. Give me some synonyms. And it's going to give you all types of stuff from different angles. So where I am now, as of today, is my one word problem that I solve is stagnation. Businesses, individuals, ambitious leaders don't move forward. They hit a point where they get stagnant and hit a plateau. I help people break through that plateau by implementing an automation first mindset.
I like it. Stagnation, strong word. I mean, it's the same as stuck, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's slightly different. I'm sure that you would have thrown the word stuck around. It's not a great word.
You build this brand statement around it. So you start with the problem. So for me, the problem is stagnation. The cause of that, in my world, is overcomplication. So a lot of times we'll talk about AI because that's what's hot right now. That's what I'm speaking about. So it's always changing so fast. There are 3,000 tools out there. Most people don't know what to do because it's just an empty field. Like what I put a prompt in. How do I apply this to my business? When things get overcomplicated, people tend to do nothing. So in fact, I just saw a recent stat that showed the percentage of people in the world who aren't even using AI. And it's staggering. I mean, we hear AI all the time, but there are like 7 billion people who have never used AI in this world. So the majority of people haven't touched it. And then even those who do use AI, most have only barely scratched the surface. Maybe played around in ChatGPT a couple of times, used it like Google. Only those on the bleeding edge are doing things like vibe coding, creating apps, things like that. But we're in this microcosm and we tend to think that everybody's doing it, but very few people are actually doing it. So that's just one example. But when people and you notice this in every area of life, when it comes to fitness and health and nutrition, if it feels too complicated, if it feels like too much, people tend to not do anything and just go back to doing what they're doing. And then you feel frustrated because you're not getting results. You've hit this plateau and you're not breaking through to the next level because you keep doing the same thing. So my message is to simplify it. Most things we do in life, we make them harder than they need to be. I mean, if you go to my website, the first thing you see is stop playing life on hard mode, automate your success. So that's what I'm talking about, is simplifying life, getting rid of the overcomplication so that you can break through to higher levels of success.
You've given us some thought, Ethan.
A lot of thought. It's all I've been thinking about for the past 5 days. So I have an advantage on you this time, but we're going to have to hear. I just want to hear, like, off the top of your mind, what do you feel like is the first thing that comes to mind as far as the problem you solve?
I'm struggling with it. Stagnation appeals to me.
Say it in a few words.
It's limitations, but it's more than that, because I don't want to say that I'm solving limiting beliefs for people, because that's not really necessarily, that's not necessarily what I lean into. It's not like I'm doing NLP or anything of that nature. So it's not so much that. I'll use it it's not articulated well, but as I'm sitting here and thinking about it, a big part of what I do is I help people condense the distance between how they feel, the distance that they perceive between where they are and where their potential could help them end up. Yeah? Okay. And I've never articulated I've never thought about it in that way other than right now. But very often we don't take the next step because we believe that that final destination, that version of ourselves, that goal that we've set, the business that we're wanting to build, whatever it may be, is such a long stretch away that you don't even bother to put yourself out there. And what I speak about and what I coach is a method, or it's a way to help people shrink that distance, make them feel that it's closer than they think, that empowers them to take that first step.
That's golden.
That
So
makes sense.
it makes complete sense. So what I would do is take what you just said, which is beautiful, go back and get the transcript from this podcast, throw it into your AI, and help it work with, so it can work with you to figure out that brand statement. How can I distill this down to my one word problem? Then after you get that one word problem, what's the cause? What is the cause of that problem? So I heard lots of things come out like collapsing time, helping people achieve their potential, empowering them. So, AI is much smarter than I am. So it'll help you come up with more terms that you probably didn't even think of that you could apply to it. But then it's like, once you have that one word problem, then what's the cause of that problem? What's your uniqueness in how you help solve that problem? Based on your story, your personal background, look at it through this lens. What would you help younger Justin do? Because whatever you're into and you're speaking about, you probably are in some way helping a previous version of yourself get over that problem. So what is that unique journey? And then there's like a word cloud of things that you talk about, and then getting it down to a one word message statement. So mine that I have right now is, my message is that you should install an automation first mindset. So you and your team stop playing on hard mode and break through to higher levels with ease.
Good. I like it. I'll have to give that some thought. But you've got me thinking.
Yeah.
Because there's something to, and it's a real tease, this, and it does get you thinking, but there's something to this, and my mind's on fire now, my brain's on fire around this condensing of distance.
Yeah, I like that. And the word collapse time came up there too. I like that concept of collapsing time to get from here to there, making these quantum leaps. So maybe there's something in there. But it's a great thought exercise for anyone dealing with a personal brand. Try it out for yourself. Go check out Brand Builders Group, because I got this framework from them. And another thing that I'll leave you with that is related to this is, when it comes to titling your book or your keynote or whatever product that you have that you're putting out into the world to help people solve their problem, use this framework. I want blank. What does your avatar want? And that whatever that fills in that blank should be the title of your book. So a lot of books that don't sell very well are not using that framework. And Rory gave an example of his first book. It was titled Procrastinate on Purpose. Now, that evokes a lot of curiosity, but most people we don't want to procrastinate on purpose. What we want is the result. Now, his newest book is called Wealthy and Well Known. That's the title of the book. Now, do you want to be wealthy and well known?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
At least definitely the wealthy part, right?
Exactly.
So if you look at some of the framework. Yeah. If you look at some of the top selling books, if you were to fill in that blank, I want blank, the 4-hour work week. I want a 4-hour work week. Don't you? Yeah. 48 Laws of Power. I mean, you can probably apply it to most best-selling titles. I want power. So 48 Laws of Power. Yeah. One of my favorite books. Influence by Robert Cialdini. I want influence. You want influence. We all want influence. Get more people to say yes. Yeah. So think about it that way. And I thought back to my books, and I'm like, oh, I kind of did that by accident. Wealth beyond money. I want wealth beyond money. I want ChatGPT to double my business in 90 days. So I kind of fell into that by accident. So it gave me confirmation.
That's amazing. Yeah, yours worked perfectly. So let's wrap this one up. What do you propose as a king move for the listeners off the back of this episode?
Yeah, that's the king move. Sit down, really think about your brand statement, describe what you do in multiple words, feed it into AI, and try to encapsulate what problem you solve in one word. And then around that, build your brand statement. So what is the cause of that problem? And what is the unique way in which you solve that problem? Who is your avatar? Who are you targeting? I target ambitious leaders who have hit a plateau and they want more and want to break through that plateau. And then take all of that and form a one-sentence command statement, your message statement to the world that shows who you are and what problem you solve and what people should do, how you solve it. That would be my king move.
Love it. I think from my side, it's for anybody who's listening who is thinking this is not for me because I'm not a speaker. And I know you've mentioned it a few times, but just to reiterate it, is follow the same process for your business, for your product, for your service, whatever it is that you do and offer to your customers and clients. And then part two, communicate that to your team. This is an extremely powerful way to get your team to truly understand what it is that you do and how you're serving your customers and clients. So that'd be my king move. Don't ignore this because you're not a speaker. Double down on it for your business as well.
That's great. I'm glad you brought that up, because even if you're not a personal brand, you work for a brand, or your company is a brand. So make sure that that brand's message follows this same framework, and you flesh that out. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.